Welcome to Heart Echo Channel. It was Christmas Eve. Snow was falling softly, like the sky was breathing slow. In a quiet park, far from the city lights, sat a man who had forgotten what warmth felt like. A CEO whose heart had been shattering silently for years. Tonight, he wasn't thinking about business. He was thinking about the family he lost. And then, a tiny voice changed everything. Daniel Carter, 48, billionaire CEO. But in this moment, just a man drowning in grief. His wife had passed 3 Christmases ago. His daughter, just 6 months after her. The weight of their absence was a constant, suffocating pressure, a silence that no amount of success could fill. Tonight, he came to this park, a place that held the ghost of a happier time. This is where they used to decorate a tiny pine tree together, their laughter echoing in the cold air. Now, it stood alone, forgotten. Just like he felt. He could almost see his daughter, Lily, reaching up on her tiptoes to place a handmade star, her bright eyes reflecting the Christmas lights. He could almost feel his wife, Emma, squeezing his hand, her warmth a shield against the winter chill. The memories were so vivid, they were painful. A tear escaped, rolling down his cold cheek. He wiped it away quickly, embarrassed even though no one was around. He cleared his throat, his voice a strained whisper against the wind. "I'm sorry. I miss you both so much." He didn't know who he was talking to. The empty bench, the silent sky, himself. The grief was a physical weight, pressing down on him until he couldn't breathe. He covered his face with his gloved hands, his shoulders shaking with a sob he refused to let out. That's when he heard it. A small voice, trembling but gentle, cutting through the heavy silence. "Don't cry, mister. You can borrow my mom if you want." Daniel lifted his head. The words so unexpected they didn't quite register. Standing before him was a little boy, maybe 7 years old, swallowed by a jacket that was clearly a hand-me-down, its patches like little badges of a life lived with care, but not with excess. He wore mismatched gloves, one red and one blue. The boy's eyes were wide and serious, filled with a disarming sincerity. Daniel blinked, trying to make sense of it all. I can what?" he managed to ask, his voice hoarse. The boy repeated, perfectly matter-of-fact. "You can borrow my mom. She gives really good hugs when people are sad." He pointed a small, gloved finger behind him. A young woman was struggling with 2 overstuffed grocery bags, a weary but gentle smile on her face as she watched her son. The boy, seeing his mom, ran back to her, his little boots crunching in the snow. "Mom," he called out, his voice filled with urgency. "This man is crying. Can you give him a hug?" The woman's cheeks flushed a bright pink, and she quickly shushed him. "Oh, honey, you can just..." She stopped mid-sentence as she walked closer and her eyes met Daniel's. She didn't see a CEO or a powerful man. She saw the raw, unmistakable pain in his eyes, a depth of sorrow that mirrored something she knew herself. She set her grocery bags down and approached the bench cautiously. Her voice was as soft as the falling snow. Are you okay?" Daniel tried to summon a polite smile, the kind he used in boardrooms, but it wouldn't form. His mask had cracked. "I'm fine. Really. I just miss someone," he admitted, the words tasting like rust. She didn't press. She didn't offer platitudes. Instead, she gently placed a hand on his shoulder. It wasn't a hug, not the one her son had offered, but it was contact. It was human warmth, a simple, profound gesture that said, "I see you." "Quietly," she said. "Sometimes missing someone means they were a blessing." Daniel's lips trembled. It was the kindest thing anyone had said to him in years. The little boy, sensing the fragile moment, came and sat beside Daniel on the cold bench. He looked up at the tall, sad man. "My dad's in heaven," he said, his voice small but steady. "I cry sometimes too. Mom hugs me. Then it hurts less." Daniel felt his breath catch in his throat. This child, this little stranger, understood his grief in a way no one else had. The boy continued, "If you want, you can help us decorate our tree. Mom says people who are sad deserve extra Christmas lights." A sound escaped Daniel's chest, a broken thing that was half sob, half laugh. "You don't even know me," he said, the absurdity of it all hitting him. The boy just shrugged, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. "But I know you're sad. That's enough." The woman, picking up her bags, nodded in agreement. Her smile, gentle and genuine. "We don't have much," she said, her voice full of a quiet dignity, "but you're welcome to join us." An invitation from strangers, offered with no expectation, no agenda, just pure, unvarnished kindness. For a moment, Daniel hesitated, the habit of solitude strong, but the boy's earnest face and the woman's compassionate eyes pulled at something deep inside him. He stood up, and they walked to a small, slightly crooked tree near the edge of the park as frozen lake. It wasn't grand like the one in the city square, but it glowed with a few warm, mismatched lights. The woman pulled out a small bag of homemade decorations. There were paper stars, carefully cut and colored, candy canes ribboned, and a little angel made from a cardboard tube with paper wings. They started decorating, their hands occasionally brushing in the cold. The little boy looked up at Daniel. "Mr. What were their names?" "The ones you missed." Daniel paused. He hadn't spoken their names aloud to a stranger in 3 years. The words were locked away, too precious and too painful. But looking at this child, he felt the lock give way. "Lily, my daughter, and Emma, my wife." The boy listened concentrically, then carefully took a bright, yellow paper star and hung it on a high branch. "There," he said proudly. "This one is for Lily." Then he picked up a red striped candy cane, and this red one, for Emma. The mother, hanging a small cardboard angel, whispered, her voice barely audible, "They're watching, you know, love doesn't disappear." For the first time in years, a real smile spread across Daniel's face. It reached his eyes. It felt like coming home. As they finished, the little boy tugged on the sleeve of Daniel's expensive coat. "We're going home for hot chocolate now," he announced. "You can come, but only if you like marshmallows." Daniel let out a genuine laugh, a sound he thought he'd forgotten. "I love marshmallows," he said. The mother looked at him, a little shy, but her invitation firm. "You're welcome to join. No one should be alone on Christmas." Daniel looked at the little, glowing tree, at the star for Lily, and the candy cane for Emma. He looked at the faces of these two strangers, who had shown him more warmth than he'd felt in years. I'd love that," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you." And so, the lonely CEO who had lost everything found a tiny piece of Christmas again, not through wealth or extravagant gifts, but through a child who believed that sadness should be shared, and that healing should be offered freely, like a cup of hot chocolate on a cold night. Sometimes, family isn't the one you're born into. It's the one you find in the most unexpected places, on a snowy evening, under the soft glow of a few Christmas lights. Thank you for watching Heart Echo channel. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more emotional journeys. We'll see you next time.